What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the festering pit of lunacy that is Neek the podcast. I am one of your four horsemen of the nerdpocalypse, the geriatric geek samurai Kiku, and with me, as always, is one of my best buds, the man from down under Tejas, yeehaw! The demon sour cream himself, Josh Rachel Finney. Josh, how are you doing this week?
When the hell did Texas become Australia?
I like to put the world together at my own whims and whimsy.
You were really bad at Risk as a child, weren't you?
Yes, horrible.
No, it's been a great week. It's been a really great week.
Really weird Australian plus Texas accent all at once, and it's the strangest sound I've ever heard.
Well, the man speaking up right now is our host from Neek's Anime F-Bomb, Elijah Senpai Steele. Elijah, I know you're doing well this week. You just picked up every single Suicide Squad pop that ever existed in one day. Oh, excuse me. I forgot about inmate-suited Harley Quinn, as Josh shakes his head.
I also need Rick Flag, Unmasked, Deadshot.
I saw him today, actually.
The Walmart exclusives, specifically Dr. Harleen.
Gotcha. I hope you never find them. And one of our bestest buds from our cousin podcast, the Phoenix Overdrive Network's Nerd Overdrive, Ray Hermano Osorio. Brother, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? Rise above, obnoxious positivity and all that,
Hashtag how dare you.
How dare I? Exactly.
I looked at my Nathan Drake that's up on my shelf today, and I thought about you, Ray.
Well, thank you. I love that you guys. And shout out to our friend, the Demon Sour Cream, who just had a birthday.
I did.
Love you, bro.
Love you, bro. It's been a good week. Thank you.
He's getting birthday presents sent to him from Pensacola, Florida, that he'll enjoy.
That's very awesome.
Just a whole bunch of Harley Quinn pops.
Oh God. The nightmares never stop.
Elijah, he's my friend and co-host. I would like to continue that friendship and co-hostery, which is not a word, but I'm going to make it one. So why would I do that?
That's fair.
Elijah, I hate Harley, heart you.
I mean, I could spend my money on better things like a proctologist exam or crack cocaine. Those two things I think would be better.
I mean, you're getting up there. That colonoscopy is going to happen soon.
I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. It's not a polyp, I just forgot how to wipe. Anyway, jumping into the weekly news, Neek the podcast, weekly news as Josh loses his shit and how to mute himself. Supergirl is getting the TV steroid treatment as it has moved from CBS to the CW, and producers have already stated that there will be a 4-show, 4-night crossover between Supergirl herself, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and everyone's favorite, The Flash. They're also looking into casting Superman for Season 2, with the CW already employing 2 former Kal-Els in Brandon Routh, who plays the Atom, and Dean Cain as Kara's adoptive father. One can only wonder if Tom Welling will reprise the role and finally don the suit, you CGI using son of a bitch.
Okay, I love Supergirl. I love Arrow. I love Flash. I haven't seen Legends of Tomorrow yet. This is getting ridiculous.
It's getting awesome.
I mean, it's awesome, but at the same time, you have 4 shows which come up with... Legends of Tomorrow has how many heroes in it? We're talking like a 10-hero bash.
But it's going to be new next season. They're actually rotating out heroes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ending makes that extremely clear.
Yeah, it does. And Legends of Tomorrow, at first I was like, I don't know how this is going to go, and it turned out awesome. Supergirl still, it kind of grabbed me, but then it kind of let go a little. I'm kind of glad that it's going over to CW. Hopefully it gets a little bit more of a supercharged reception there, because I don't think CBS did as good of a job with it as they could have.
No.
Well, we've been saying for a long time that it should have been on CW. CBS is just not the place that you think of when you think of superhero TV.
No, so CW, I think 2 things with all this. Supergirl moving to CW is a really, really good move. They now have a show every night of the week, Monday through Thursday. But Supergirl moving there now gives them the potential to have Superman, Supergirl, and Martian Manhunter to come into these shows. That is huge. is huge, huge, huge. We've been saying for a long time that Legends of Tomorrow is going to be the framework for a Justice League show eventually. I think that is becoming more apparent now than ever. I still think I'm standing by that now, especially with this huge crossover happening. I think Supergirl as a show itself goes away after season 2, maybe 3. I think Arrow goes away within the next season or 2, and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow are the ones that go forward with these main characters from those shows. And they start forming a pseudo-Justice League.
Well, they introduced Justice Society of America at the end of Legends of Tomorrow. Sorry, spoilers.
Right.
So that is, your basis right there. That hopefully that happens, because right now I think a lot of fans, rational-minded fans, mind you, are a little scared about what's happening with the DC Cinematic Universe and its version of the Justice League. And there's a lot of positive responses coming from the TV side. Hopefully Justice League does happen in some form. It doesn't even have to be the Justice League that we know in the comics. It could just be a Justice League that uses characters that we aren't seeing in the movies. It would be cool, too. Okay,
yeah. No, I was just going to say, I'd love to see Tom Welling come back. That's the last thing I want to say. I'd love to see him just go crazy with it at this point. Just screw it. The shows aren't going to tie into the movies at this point. They've made that abundantly clear. You might as well give Grant Gustin an awesome Superman to play around with. You might as well give Stephen Amell a cool universe to play around in still, because he's the only thing cool about Arrow at this point. So let's just have fun with it. You know what? Let's have fun with this universe.
Do you think, though, that this casting, because they said they would never bring Superman in, do you think this is because Jeff Johns took over?
Well, Jeff Johns took over the movie universe.
Right, but the movies were the ones saying that you can't use these characters, and now he's in control, and he did say that he's going to bring back hope and optimism.
Possibly. I think Jeff Johns told him to dial it back a lot. I just wish he could have gotten in there before they got rid of the Suicide Squad from Arrow.
Because that was shaping up really
awesome.
Good. Yeah,
that was awesome. That was a really, really, really cool plot thread that they had, and it would have made for a better season 4 than what we got.
I would have actually liked to have seen Suicide Squad become a TV show. I think that would have been a weekly, almost Mission Impossible from the 70s style show.
I was just going to say the same thing. As excited as I am for this movie, I would have been much more excited if it had its own TV show with the Suicide Squad from Arrow.
I'm going to blow everyone's mind here. I'm going to blow everyone's mind. I would have watched that show. I would have watched it with Harley Quinn in it.
Oh, my God.
That's how you know you fucked up, DC.
That's on record now, Josh. That's on record.
It is. I seriously liked the Suicide Squad and Arrow that much. That's the point where I'm pretty sure I tuned out of Arrow. I was that upset about it. I really liked where they were going. That at that point, I would have tolerated it because
it
whatever.
Was a really nice break from the main story, right?
It was.
It really was. Plus, with if they would have kept Deathstroke around, that would have been an amazing part of the Suicide Squad, right? To actually have
Manu Bennett was the MVP of this couple seasons
of season 2. Yeah, for sure. But we've got more awesome news coming your way. More awesome nerd news. John Boyega, Josh's spirit animal, has announced he will be starring in Pacific Rim 2. With the movie being directed by Steven S. DeKnight, who we all love from Daredevil, it looks like the sequel to Pacific Rim is getting some traction and looks to start production actually in the fall.
So he's not just starring in this, he's also co-producing this, which is really, really cool. He started a production company with his agent, who's also his best friend, and this is the first movie that they're producing. They're going to co-produce it with Legendary, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like that this is a really... it's not like it's an indie movie. He's doing it on a AAA level movie. He's doing it on a $100 million film. That's really cool. And I like that he's going to play the son of Idris Elba from the movie.
Yep.
I'm interested to see how they rationalize that, because some people are saying, oh, well, it shows that Idris Elba was a good father and kept him away. Well, he had his adopted Japanese daughter there.
True.
Yeah. Right.
But who cares? The first one was fun. I had no interest in a sequel, but I'll go see it now. It's John Boyega. It's going to be wacky fun. They're uncanceling the apocalypse to cancel it again.
Which is, I mean, I think I feel comfortable with him producing it because he has such an excitement for everything that he does. The crazy amount of press tour that they did for The Force Awakens, and even at the end when you could tell he was tired, he was wore down, he still was just excited about what he was doing. And that excitement should transfer over into this film.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you haven't seen Attack the Block, go see Attack the Block. Like that'll show his enthusiasm for doing this. Like, he cited that earlier today when he was talking about this on his Twitter. You know, like, he, after doing Attack the Block and Star Wars, like, he really wanted to keep doing sci-fi. And he's doing The Circle later on this year with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. So this guy's super busy right now. But there's no doubt he is the most in-demand guy in Hollywood.
And he picks fun projects. He's picking really fun projects, and I like that. I like that a lot about him.
Yeah, he's not going out for like the ones that are going to pay the most or the ones that are going to get him the Academy Awards. He's doing the ones that he feels the most comfortable with. Like The Circle, that's giving him a chance to work with Tom freaking Hanks, and Emma Watson. Like, and then he's doing this one which is just goofy fun.
Yeah, it's one of those everything blows up, exciting blockbuster type movies. Right. It's going to be fun. The first Pacific Rim, it wasn't anything like gripping or jarring. It was just like, hey, it's fun.
You knew what you were getting from the beginning.
Yep.
And even watching Star Wars, the entire time, like, the way he brought out that character, I could tell he would be great in a movie like Pacific Rim, where it's just having fun with who you're playing and having it not be such a serious movie and just being one of those like action movies, just everything going crazy and his character just having a blast in it.
He has a wonderful levity to him.
He certainly can't be any worse than Charlie Hunnam was in the lead. That's for sure.
Yeah. I absolutely love that movie, but I acknowledge that it's not exactly a great movie.
No.
Because
it's a guilty pleasure film.
Yeah, it is.
It is. No, it is. But, I mean, let's face it, Charlie Hunnam would have been better if the Jaeger was a motorcycle. Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle, keeps getting more magnanimous. Yes, I use that word. And it's big. I spell checked. As not only have they added Elton John and Channing Tatum to the cast, but now Jeff Bridges has been added as well as the lovely Halle Berry, hopefully not on a Catwoman level. Not much is known about the plot or character still, other than that Taron Egerton's Eggsy and Mark Strong's Merlin will be coming to America for the next spy adventure, and hopefully more heads will be popping in a glorious array of fireworks.
I am ridiculously excited for this. The first Kingsman is tied as my favorite comic book movie ever. And
really?
Yes. And I will watch that once a week. And the fact that they're bringing Channing Tatum, who I didn't realize how much I liked him until I saw him in the Jump Street movies, I think he'd be great. He's one of those actors that can bring out whatever you want him to bring out. And Jeff Bridges, I don't think I need to say anything other than Jeff Bridges. This is going to be fantastic.
So I also want to note that Sophie Cookson, who was in the first one, and who was Roxy, and of course, oh God, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. Colin Firth, he's going back.
Is back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's back. We don't know how he's coming back yet. That's going to be shrouded in secrecy until the first trailer. Probably coming out this fall. And then there was someone else. I wouldn't count out that super douchey guy coming back from the first one. I don't think that his head got blown off. So those three. it's going to be a really, really cool sequel if pretty much the core cast, except for Samuel L. Jackson, Gazelle, and Michael Caine are coming back. So I'm really, really excited to see this too. We've been talking about this since it came out, basically, since the show started, essentially. We've been talking about how much we want to see a sequel. We don't really campaign for sequels, but with Matthew Vaughn back, and this is a guy who does not do sequels, we want this really, really badly.
I think one of the things it shows is even though this is a sequel, it's going to be different enough that it won't feel like we're watching the same thing again.
I hope we don't. I hope we don't see the same thing, because if they try to top themselves, we're going to have a problem. It needs to be different enough, but not too different.
I think that movie is so like just kind of out there, wild and crazy, that anything they decide to do is going to be different, right? Like, you can't recreate that sort of feeling and atmosphere. So it's going to have to be something new. They've got actors who are known for doing wild and crazy things. Elton John was a wild and crazy man in the 70s and 80s, right? Jeff Bridges has been in a ton of wild and crazy roles. Halle Berry even has done a lot of crazy stuff. I think that type of, these actors are like balls out whenever they do stuff, and I think that's the type of movie they're going for, and we're in for a treat. Like, I really think we're in for a treat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those strap yourself in, go along for the ride. It's going to be something, a spectacle to watch.
Yep. Well, at Wizard World Philadelphia, where fan and friend to Neek, Lauren Strickland, attended, Chris Evans, Anthony Mackie, and Sebastian Stan said they wanted the X-Men to join the Avengers Infinity War. This talk has been going on both sides of the coin, as producers of the Fox series have said they would love to see a crossover as well. Do we think this is like back talk, or not back talk, but like maybe, hey, this is actually going to happen?
I think this is more like, this needs to happen. You guys need to make it happen. Make it happen. They may have been talking about it. Maybe, from what we know, we don't know if there's like a standstill, or maybe they're looking at it but they can't agree or something, or the actors have a little bit more insight. But by them going public and being like, hey, yeah, we want X-Men there, it could be the actors trying to get the public perception to, to kind of maybe, hey, if this is positive, this looks positive, let's get everyone involved to make this happen, kind of thing. Because if that happens, it's a win-win for everybody. Why not? Why not make it? You see what Spider-Man did for Civil War, and you see the kind of reception he got there, and what kind of jumpstart they're going to get for the reboot, probably.
No, it's one of the most highly anticipated films right now for 2017. Is Homecoming.
I think one of the big things with the producers of the Fox series saying about this is they aren't the ones in charge, but this is them kind of saying, try and make this happen. It will work out. And now they have the Spider-Man crossover with Sony to show that Marvel doesn't want to mess this up for the other studio involved. So Fox really needs to look at this, and this is the makers of X-Men saying, more than just saying to the fans, yeah, we would like to try and make this happen. This is them saying to the higher-ups, try and make this happen.
So it's really cool that, Chris Evans, Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan and all them want this to happen, but wanting it to happen and it actually happening are two completely different things, as we all know.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag truth.
But with all the rumors that have been around for the last 6 months or so, this could be leading a little bit more credence to that, but it also could be reading into it a little bit too much. When the Spider-Man news happened, it kind of came out of nowhere. There weren't really any rumors leading up to that. It just happened.
Sure.
It was really kept hush-hush. Fox really hates Disney. For anybody listening who doesn't really understand or doesn't really remember the history, they hate Disney for two big reasons. One, Disney owns Marvel. So that means Disney's constantly trying to get those X-Men rights back. They were trying to get the Daredevil rights back, which they finally got. They got the Punisher and those sorts of things. Okay? Disney would really like to get the X-Men back under their roof, but they're less concerned with it now that the MCU has taken off. Pre-Avengers, they were probably pretty concerned with getting that back. Number two, they got Star Wars over Fox. Fox was the other studio really trying to get Lucasfilm, but Lucas went directly to Disney and practically handed them Lucasfilm on a silver platter, instead of Fox, who had distributed all 6 of Lucas's Star Wars films and the Indiana Jones films. So they're really pissed off right now that Disney owns the rights to Indy and Star Wars. They don't want to do business. They own the rights to the original Star Wars trilogy. That's why you haven't seen the originals on Blu-ray yet, in case people are wondering why you see the crappy Blu-ray remasters from 2009, whenever they came out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems that need to be fixed out there. I think with Kevin Feige now being out from underneath Perlmutter, we might be able to see some progress on that front. If anything happens, I don't think we hear about it this year. I think we hear about it next year, or maybe they just save it and let it show up in the movie. It is a little curious that we haven't heard about anything past Apocalypse. The Gambit movie's been scrapped. All we know about is a Deadpool sequel. There's a lot of projects supposedly being worked on, but nothing has a firm release date anymore. Even the Deadpool movie doesn't have a Deadpool sequel doesn't have a firm release date. Fantastic Four sequel's been scrapped. Everything has been kind of scrapped for right now. It's just all in limbo. So literally, the Spider-Man deal showed anything is possible, and that came together super fast. That came together within less than a year of Amazing Spider-Man 2 coming out. So, who knows? I'd like to see this personally, but it's not necessary. Marvel knows it at this point. It's not necessary for the X-Men, but the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are the last bastion of what they need back underneath their umbrella. And they'd be willing to co-produce it with Fox, saying that's proven. All I want is Deadpool to just pop his head up when reality rips, go nope, and pop his head back down. That's all I want.
Well, let me throw this out there for you to think about for all three of you. X-Men Apocalypse is not doing well at the box office. Similar to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, that's a big deal, right? Like, it's not making money. Nowhere even remotely close to the lowest end Marvel film either. This could be a cause for them to say, Marvel, come and help us. With the Sony deal, Marvel is doing all the work, and all Sony does is it gets money. That's it, pretty much.
Sony gets the glory.
Yep.
Sony gets the glory, pretty much, which is fine, because I think anybody who's really in the know, us podcasters, and all the way up to people actually in the industry know it's actually Marvel. Apocalypse is really actually doing really bad. It was 30% behind Days of Future Past for a 4-day weekend opening. It only pulled in $80 million. Well, that seems like a lot of money. Remember, Civil War pulled in, what, 170, 177?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
You also have to remember, Civil War had like the 5th biggest opening of all time.
True, yeah, but true, right? And I'm not saying it should hit those numbers, but it's making less than half of that over a 4-day weekend. That's a telling sign that your franchise is pretty much dead in the water, or it's about to be there. Maybe not, right? But that might be something where Disney comes to the table and goes, look, this last film didn't do too great. Let us put our name on it. Let us, work it into the MCU. Let's do some sort of crossover. You guys will make a lot more money, because I'm telling you right now, Homecoming is going to be a huge film. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to be massive, and then once it hits
that is the film where Fox will decide to play game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I'll tell you right now, Fox will not play game right now because Deadpool did so good.
Yep.
Had Deadpool been a financial disaster, then Fox would have played game. The fact that this movie will not even make half internationally what Deadpool did should be there should be sirens going off at Fox right now.
Yeah, it's just that X-Men, they did the whole thing, in the early, what was it, late 90s, early 2000s was when those first
Early
X-Men
2000s.
movies. Early 2000s.
Actually, 2000.
Yeah, so it was the first X-Men movie, and those were all right. They weren't. They were in the first boom of the superhero movies, and then they rebooted, and now they're rebooted again, and now it's just like
every movie is a mini
mess.
reboot.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, and it's just confusing to the ones that follow it. The only people that really go are like the diehard comic book people. It's not really appealing. I mean, the only reason why Deadpool did so well is because this was something. It was a different take. Like, and people forget about the previous rated R ones, like your Blades and whatever, stuff like that. But Deadpool kind of reaches a different audience amongst the other Marvel movies that are out there, or the other DC movies that are out there and are coming out, that kind of thing. So he's in a market kind of his own right now.
Well, it was also a breath of fresh air to your standard comic
That's what I mean.
movie.
It's a different market segment because it's not the it's not the shiny suits and the cape and whatever, the super good guy, whatever, the Boy Scout kind of thing. He's different, than those kind of guys. But when you look at what X-Men has done, they need something major, and the only thing I think that honestly will save them would be something coming into the MCU, and Marvel putting their touch on it and bringing them into the movies, like the Infinity War and stuff like that.
Most definitely, and I don't know. We're definitely gonna see about this. I think once we're gonna have to do an episode on this next year. We know this, Josh. Also, if you guys want to know what me and Josh thought about X-Men Apocalypse, we have a review up, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube.
It was
and
terrible.
Stitcher. And Josh ruined the review, so there you go. You don't have to listen to it now. News out of Captain Marvel. Finally! This is what I've been waiting for, is that Marvel looks to be targeting Brie Larson, which is Gouda, to play the titular role of Carol Danvers. Larson is an Academy Award-winning actress, and she is no stranger to comic book movies, as she was Envy Adams in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Chris Evans himself has given her his seal of approval, and she can next be seen in Kong, Skull Island, and The Glass Castle.
We didn't think of the call to make this happen,
right?
I know.
When we were trying to put together a list of actresses we wanted to see, Brie Larson was not on it. And then when they announced it, we were all like, "Oh yeah, no, that's perfect."
Well, the problem is we didn't consider Brie Larson because Brie Larson, you when you think Carol Danvers, you think early to mid 30s, okay?
Right.
You don't think 2 years older than me. You don't think 26 years old, but then you think, oh my God, if you can get an Academy Award winner for Carol Danvers as one of your anchors going into Phase 4, yes. Let's think about this for a second. You potentially have, at Marvel Studios, Chris Pratt, Benedict Cumberbatch, Chadwick Boseman, and now Brie Larson anchoring the MCU going into Phase 4. Are you freaking kidding me? Those are your like starring roles. That's not counting whoever's in your supporting roles.
Yep. That's
Are you kidding me? Like, how? How?
That would be amazing, given the roles that Captain Marvel has in just the comics and everything like that, and how far that could take her, and the diversity of the ways that they can go with her plot lines would be amazing.
Now, the only experience I have with Carol Danvers is reading Spider-Woman, but given what I see of her personality in there, I could see Brie Larson easily being able to do a fantastic job of portraying this character. And given what I've seen Brie Larson in fact, speaking of Chris Evans, they worked together on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Yep.
She can do such a range that it's amazing. And looking at Carol Danvers and Brie Larson, it's like, they already look very similar.
Works.
I'm
like
excited. I want this to happen.
You're not familiar with Carol Danvers, and I know Josh is because we've actually had quite a few conversations about this. And our social media guru, Lindsay Darnell, it's her favorite character. Carol Danvers has probably one of the most interesting to be nice, but torrid to be realistic histories in comic books. And to see that she's going to be on screen and hopefully this casting goes through and be represented by such a wonderful actress is like the cherry on the top of the resurgence of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers herself. Marvel, make this happen. This is Neek, thumbed approved. We approve of this.
They've already told us that we're gonna have a casting and a directorial announcement by the end of the summer. So this is probably the Comic-Con announcement that we're getting this year. This is probably the and one more thing announcement that we're going to get this year will be the Captain Marvel director, actual actress, and potentially probably the writing team also. And no, we have the writing team. I take that back. We have the writing team in place. Her and Nicole Perlman from Guardians of the Galaxy. She's on it. Michelle Fazekis is doing the comic. She's not doing the movie. She did the comic and she did Agent Carter.
That's right.
The writer from Inside Out is doing it.
Right. But I'm sure they're going to contact Michelle because her work on the new Captain Marvel is fantastic.
I'm not sure because she's only a couple issues into it. I personally think they're going to reach back to the run that led directly into Hickman's Secret Wars and the runs that were going on in the mid-2000s, really the big resurgence of Captain Marvel.
Right.
What a lot of people think of when they think of Miss Marvel and then Captain Marvel herself. I would think that's kind of the run they're going to pull from for a lot of this. That's just all speculation. Of course, we won't know until we actually see her on screen. The presumption is we're going to see probably more of a cosmic-based character. We're not really sure. We'll probably find out the first details at Comic-Con next month, so it's very exciting.
And hopefully not in the first one, but when they do the second one, we get to see Alpha Flight and Puck. I will be stoked. Well, the remake of Sasquatch, yep. The remake of Stephen King's It has found its Pennywise in Bill Skarsgård. The Hemlock Grove and Divergent actor is the son of Marvel Stellan Skarsgård, who plays Eric Selvig in all those Thor movies. That adaptation, which was originally supposed to be helmed by Cary Fukunaga, is now being helmed by Andy Muschietti, who directed Mama. Is a two-parter, just a remake adaptation. Bill Skarsgård is a decent actor. He looks creepy. But that's about it. People should just know. This is still happening.
Hashtag nope.
The original It is one of my favorite Stephen King things.
Yeah.
Hashtag nope.
I'll say if Cary Fukunaga was still attached to this, I'd be all over this. But I'll probably wait for it to hit Netflix, honestly. It's just, the Stephen King project I'm much more excited for is The Dark Tower.
Yes.
Me too. I'm more excited for Dark Tower because it never did it for me as a kid because I was scared of clowns.
I'm just so scared that it's being crammed into a 3-hour movie, but
I was terrified.
Well, not the whole thing. It's not the whole 7-book series.
The Dark Tower? Yeah, it is.
They're doing multiple movies, I thought.
They said they're putting all of it into...
They're deriving all the content from the whole series into the one movie.
Well, yeah. I'm disappointed already.
Well, that kind of ruined...
That's why I was scared of it. Everyone's like, no, it'll be okay. It's Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey.
I'm going to go cry in the corner now.
All right. Nope.
Well, on Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast, Marvel's chief creative officer, Joe Quesada, said that Marvel does have the rights for everyone's favorite bastard Atlantean, Namor. When asked about seeing him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Quesada said he could not confirm nor deny his involvement. Originally, it was thought that Namor was at Universal in a similar deal with the Incredible Hulk, but it might look like that deal has shaken loose.
So, I don't know if Joe Quesada even knows what's going on that front.
It's like, eh.
I mean, so Namor is a character who was really boring until about the last decade.
Yeah.
And they've suddenly made him interesting and relevant because he started doing a lot with the X-Men. And, well, he did a lot with the X-Men. He did a lot with the Cabal during Dark Reign. And then, again, with the Cabal in Secret Wars. And him and Black Panther hate each other. So there's some really interesting stuff going on there. I couldn't care less. Why even bring him in? There's no point to bringing him in. It would start feeling bloated, and I don't know. I think that some fans who don't read the comics a lot would be like, Namor, that's an answer to Aquaman. Namor's actually been around since like the 30s.
Yeah, he predates Aquaman.
Namor predates Captain America, I'm pretty sure. The Submariner's been around since Steve Rogers.
Wasn't the original story Namor found Captain America in the water?
I don't know.
Or they changed the story so that happened?
They've both been around for freaking ever.
They've retconned so much of that.
Because everybody hates Namor. Namor hates Namor.
Well,
that's the name of this episode. Namor hates Namor.
Yeah, everybody hates Namor. Like, he doesn't get along with anyone.
No, he doesn't.
That's true.
Because he's a douche.
Yeah. Well, maybe we will see him. Maybe we won't. We'll see. But speaking of Captain America, Josh, the recent twist in the first issue of Steve Rogers' Captain America has caused the usual response from fans of the character, and it's so positive. Nick Spencer's twist in the first issue, where Cap has always been a sleeper Hydra agent, has caused fan outrage and backlash to reach the death threat level, as Spencer has received his fair share of harassment. This is after the first issue, where we don't know the full length of the story, but of course, even if we don't know the full story arc, it's absolutely uncalled for.
So, I talked about this on Pull List the night the issue came out. My gut reaction was I didn't like it. I thought it was really cheap storytelling. I thought it was a cheap way to sell issues. And Ray and I's conclusion was it worked. Guess what? You did exactly what Marvel wanted you to do. People ran out and bought I went out and bought the issue because of the reaction. I did not buy it at the midnight release of Rebirth when I picked up all my comics. I actually went back out the next morning upon hearing the reaction and bought it. It worked. And guess what? I'm going to buy the next issue too, even though I had no intention of ever reading this series, because I want to know what happens now. And unfortunately, I'm going to read the next 5 or 6 issues probably of this story arc to see what happens. Congratulations, Marvel. You just made a whole bunch of money. That being said, I've never liked Nick Spencer. I was really clear about that. I've been really clear about that in our own little message group amongst the hosts. I don't like him. I think he's kind of a crummy storyteller. He's one of the guys responsible for Fear itself, if I remember correctly. I'm not a big fan. But there's never a reason to send death threats to anybody in the creative field. God, we don't even know if it was his idea. He might have been directed to do this by Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, there's never a reason to send a death threat for any reason, no matter how much you detest or despise someone or something for their art, for their views, for anything. There's no reason for that. It's absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous. And I think it's so heightened because of the accessibility of Twitter and Facebook and perceived anonymity. It's just, people get so carried away with it. It's ridiculous.
And the sad thing is, it's happening a lot right now. Not to deviate too much, but the game No Man's Sky was just delayed. And the guy who gave the announcement, not even from the game company, was receiving death threats.
Yeah, the reporter himself was receiving death threats.
Jason Schreier from Kotaku got absolutely lit up. Sean Murray from Hello Games got lit up about it too. And it's like, oh my god, people, like, it's a video game. Like,
Yeah.
some of you are treating this like it's like you're literally going to die.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, F Sony." It's like it wasn't even Sony that did this. It was Hello Games that delayed the game. It wasn't Sony.
Exactly.
And it wasn't the reporter's fault. It was Hello Games that said, "Hey, our game isn't going to be up to par. We want more time with it." So you want them to keep, to release a game that's not finished, and then complain that it's not finished and hate the game developer, or do you want them to take their time and develop a game as well as it could have been done?
Well, no, because this is the generation of having your cake and eating it too. You got to have both, on time and perfect.
And the fact that both this Captain America event and the delay are happening at the same time, this past month, I have not been a fan of being on the internet because it's just everybody going crazy over these things. And I'm like, first off, this is comics. How many times has Captain America died now? And guess what? Look, he's back. Nothing, everything has a conclusion, and in the end, everybody ends up being okay with it. And even if they're not, they get over it pretty fast. And it'll be the same thing when No Man's Sky comes out. Everyone's mad right now. The day it comes out, everybody who said those things will forget it happened.
Well, the thing that kills me about this is, it's the first issue, right? We have 75 years of Captain America storytelling where he has been the cookie cutter hero, and never really a big shakeup like this. This is, even if you think this is a money ploy, which it is and it isn't. It is a little bit, or half, right? The other half is it's different storytelling. And because it's just the first issue, that's like going into a movie for 15 minutes and going, this is the worst movie ever. It ruined my childhood, and walking out. Right?
Yep.
There's another hour and a half worth of movie. Hell, 2 hours and 15 minutes worth of movie in most cases nowadays. You can't, that's a preemptive judgment. As Josh said, there's no reason to send a death threat to anybody over this stuff, right? This is not, there's no reason to send a death threat in any situation, but it's not politics, so it's not world changing. It's, not fixing your health care or, your infrastructure or anything like that. It's not religion. So, it's not only that, what really upsets me, and I'm going to be fully honest with you, most of the people that are freaking out, I have a feeling, didn't know who Captain America was up until 6 years ago.
Yes. I had to ask my one friend, I'm like, so, what do you think of this? And he goes, honestly, I hate it. And I said, all right, now be honest with me. How long have you been a Captain America fan? And he said he's been reading the comics since he was little. And I'm like, all right, I believe you on this one. But I know a lot of these people are the people who their first real introduction to Captain America was in theaters.
And see, and that's the thing is you don't have that basis, right? I'm not saying that there aren't some people who 6 years ago found out who Cap was and then went back and read all the comics and they familiarized themselves. But a lot of these people know Cap from the movies, and they are under the impression that Hydra is a Nazi organization because of that. But in the comics, they're not. They started as that, but then they offshooted, became their own thing. Nothing to do with being Nazis. And in fact, in one issue, Cap was a Nazi, and he saluted Adolf Hitler, in case anybody wants to know. Long time ago. Long time ago. But even still, it's just there's no reason for this. And let's wait until the end of the 5 or 6 issue arc before we really damn this. This could be one of the most profound works of Captain America that has been written since The Winter Soldier and Ed Brubaker. Or it could just be another crappy story twist that just didn't work out. Either way, let's get to the end before we have this wholly negative reaction that, just makes some people literally diarrhea emotion all over their keyboard.
I will say my favorite part of all of this was Ed Brubaker's response. He was like, guys, please stop directing your threats and your anger to my inbox. I haven't written Cap in at least 4 or 5 years, and to be honest, I haven't picked up a comic of Cap in 4 or 5 years, so I don't know what's happening with the character. Yeah. But if it's happening for a reason, so read the whole story before you start sending threats.
Yeah, it's just
He was
ridiculous.
like, I was the guy who brought Bucky back from the grave. Trust me, I got my fair share of threats. I brought back one
Yeah.
of 3 characters you're not allowed to resurrect.
Yep. And didn't he also tell some of them to go fuck themselves, like full blown?
Oh yeah, he straight up did. He's like, and people were mad about that. He goes, I don't work for Marvel. I'll tell you to do whatever I want to.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was pretty
It's like,
funny.
whatever, I'll do what I want.
Pretty much.
Mm.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Horizon Zero Dawn shook up things too with their delay. People are angry about that.
Were they really?
You know what?
It's a
Thankfully,
video game.
I haven't seen many people say too much about that.
Yeah.
And going back to the response from Sean Murray at Hello Games was fantastic, where he just said, "Thanks for the heads up, guys. Hello Games' office now looks like the house from Home Alone."
Nice.
Yeah, his timeline was so great that day.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't feeding into all these people giving this. He's just like, all right, cool, I'm going to make a joke about it and let it go.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
people are saying, oh, Sony's delaying all these games because of Neo and this, that, the other. I've seen it in our group. I've seen it in your guys' group. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on other groups in Facebook. I'm just like, really, guys? Really?
Well, you know, people have a handle on their emotions nowadays. Recent reports surround the upcoming Star Wars anthology film Rogue One have been seesawing between the negative and the unbelievable, as a site called Page 6 reported that Disney was unhappy with the cut of Rogue One they were shown and ordered a 4 to 6 week reshoot schedule to align the tone of the film with the main series of films. According to the site, about 40% of the film would have to be redone. Since the initial report, sources have come out and said that the reshoots were scheduled before even the first day of production began, and that there is no concern over the direction of the film.
So, the Entertainment Weekly report that came out a couple days after this was really funny when I was reading that, because I was one of the ones, I didn't believe the Page 6 report, because Page 6, like, what the hell kind of site is that?
Right.
I didn't believe it until more credible sites were saying, like, yeah, this is kind of true. Like, we're finding out the reshoots are credible. And then the EW article came out, which kind of put me at ease a little bit more. First off, a few things for those unfamiliar with blockbusters. Reshoots are not uncommon. Okay? Reshoots for blockbusters almost always happen several months out from release. Okay? This movie's scheduled to come out at Christmas. For these reshoots to be happening in June and July, it's pretty standard. Okay, the VFX work isn't finished yet. They're in editing right now and doing the VFX post-production. They probably realized some things aren't working, or they were planning to go ahead and put that nice little young Han Solo cameo in there with Alden Ehrenreich. Okay, they're fully prepared to go shoehorn that in and milk it for all it's worth. It's ready to go. They're probably putting some more gratuitous Vader scenes in there. The one that really concerned me about this was where they said it didn't feel Star Wars-y enough, is what the execs were saying. I really don't want the tone of this to change. I don't know about any of y'all who saw the teaser. We all saw the first teaser for this, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Did everybody like that?
I
Yes.
got chills. I must have watched it 50 times that first day.
Okay.
I
You
did
don't like
exactly
the
what I
tone
wanted.
of that, though, right?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. If they deviate from that, I'm going to be concerned.
Mhm.
It felt different. To me, that's what these anthologies should be. They're not the main story. These aren't Skywalker saga films. These are telling the side stories. This was described at Celebration Anaheim last year as the Saving Private Ryan and Zero Dark 30 of the Star Wars universe. I got so hyped when I heard that if it deviates from that, I'm going to be concerned. Now, hearing that reshoots need to happen on this, okay, I understand that. This is a Gareth Edwards film. If you saw Godzilla or if you saw Monsters, those films are a mess in terms of editing. They don't flow well. They just jump randomly. They're not really well put together, and thank God he didn't bring over the same editors. Like, Disney's like, no, you're going to use our editors. You're going to use editors that we give you. Disney and Lucasfilm kind of told him, we're going to supervise what you do on this. It's not uncommon, and I think a lot of people are just really on edge with this and are wanting to jump on it because of the negative reaction that the Suicide Squad reshoots had. And with that, the problem with those reshoots is those reshoots, I want to believe, were also scheduled in advance. The problem is those got announced. Warner Brothers did the wrong thing. They let it leak out the week after Batman vs Superman got panned critically. It would be like if The Force Awakens had gotten panned and Rogue One was scheduled for August, and we're going to announce reshoots a week after our movie gets panned or doesn't go over well with a giant chunk of our audience. That would be the equivalent to this. I think a lot of people are just on edge because that was kind of the first time we'd ever seen a backlash to reshoots that I can remember. I've never seen a backlash to reshoots like we did with that. And so now it's kind of a lot of the people who are in favor of that who are like, no, like reshoots are a good thing, those of us who have been a part of the industry are kind of pushing back now and be like, well, we need to be cautious here, we're overcompensating now, wanting to be cautious, if any of that makes sense.
No, it does, Bill. I mean, you also got to figure that you add on that Star Trek Beyond reshoot where they actually added an entire new character because things weren't working, and I think everybody's a little on edge.
To that altogether.
Yeah, we reported on it. It was, I forget what her name was, but she is an award-winning actress. But some actually cool news. Dwayne Johnson has been cast as Doc Savage in Shane Black's film of the same name. Doc Savage is one of the oldest heroes/superheroes in the world, starting with a magazine printed in 1933, a radio series in 1934, and a comic series starting in the 1940s. Savage was raised by his father and other top scientists to be one of the most perfect humans in strength, intelligence, and physical abilities. He was also joined by a team known as the Fabulous Five.
I don't know anything about Doc Savage.
Most people are not going to know. You should be hyped, though, because it is Shane Black. Doc Savage is a much more grounded hero. He's kind of the in-between between a normal human and Superman.
Yeah.
I will say this had me at Dwayne Johnson. That right there would get my butt in the seat in the theater.
And it should, because Doc Savage is kind of an Indiana Jones type, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Very much
he's
so.
He's more adventurous than like a buff Nathan Drake. Be the best way to put it.
Kind of, yeah.
The first movie would be Doc Savage, Fabulous Five. The second movie would be Doc Savage, Furious 6.
Those jokes don't work without our Ray Williams here. It just doesn't.
So, I'll see this because it's Shane Black, and I really like Shane Black. In case nobody's picked up on that before, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is one of my favorite movies. I have a soft spot for Iron Man 3, and The Nice Guys, which I just saw, is awesome. Everybody needs to go see that. Support great cheesy comedies. Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe are perfect together. That being said, if Shane Black wasn't doing this, I probably wouldn't see it. Dwayne Johnson isn't a guy who's going to get my butt into a seat anymore, which is weird because for about 2 or 3 years there, if he was doing a movie, I would go see him, but it's overexposure, I guess you could say.
Sure.
I feel like I can't go to a movie now without seeing him in a movie trailer, and it's starting to get kind of aggravating. There's some movies I'm like, oh, I would probably go see this if he wasn't in it. I don't mind him being in the Fast and the Furious. Sure, he's perfect in those. I like those. I don't mind him in roles like that. I'll probably even go see Central Intelligence this year. He can go do movies I don't care about, like Baywatch and stuff, but then, like, do we really need a Jumanji remake? Do we really need half the other stuff he's signing on to do? No. This I'll go see, though, because I have faith in it. It's Shane Black. I don't think that Dwayne will stick with it, though. He signed on to, like, 15 movies over the next 3 years.
I think he will, because this will put him into his own kind of superhero franchise, like his own thing. And I have which, funny enough, is the next news article. but he's not Shazam. He's Black Adam. But I think with this is going to be more in like the tone of the original Mummy movies. I have a feeling where it's like really good action, some kind of cheesy comedy, but it fits. And I think that's right up the alley. Yes, he is. Brendan Fraser is the Saint. God, what's that movie? Blast from the Past. Everyone needs to watch that movie. Him and Alicia Silverstone. God bless.
That was a good movie.
God, there's a name I haven't heard in a hot minute. Alicia Silverstone.
You know what everybody else forgets? The Rundown with Sean William
It's a great movie. No one forgets that. That's a fantastic film.
And Rosario Dawson.
Faxing my dad a Rundown.
Yep. Well, speaking of The Rock, as we just said, rumors are swirling about his Shazam film from DCWB, and them possibly targeting Channing Tatum for the role of Shazam. I can't say that tonight. Opposite the villain Black Adam that Johnson will be playing. As there's been no word on Gambit since it was removed from Fox's schedule, which Josh said earlier in this show, it is very possible that this might actually happen.
So, I really like Channing Tatum. I've made no secret of that.
True.
I hate this role for him.
I agree.
I don't think that he fits Shazam at all. That's just me. Now, personally, I don't know a ton about Shazam. He is one of the DC characters I am not familiar with. He doesn't scream Shazam to me. Personally, I feel Shazam should be somebody older. I feel like The Rock would be a good Shazam, oddly enough. Not Tatum. I don't know who would be a good Shazam, but not Channing Tatum. And that's weird because I like him in a lot of things. I champion him for a lot of things, just like Jake. I like Jake Gyllenhaal in a lot of things. I champion him for almost everything. Not this. Channing Tatum does not fit Shazam to me. And it's not a matter of, I don't want an I don't want an A-list actor to be in DC. No, I don't want the wrong A-list actor to be in DC. You got to strike gold, and that's striking the wrong kind of gold. I don't know. He looks like he'd be warming up for an MMA match that he's ill-prepared for.
I agree with all this.
Imagining him with that hood on is the goofiest freaking thing in the world.
So,
imagine Channing Tatum with Shazam's hood on right now.
Honestly, I've been imagining it since we talked about it in Personal Messenger, and honestly, I think he's going to be perfect for it. I think he would make a fantastic Shazam.
I think you were out of your freaking mind.
Well, that's out there in the public. That's public record, sir. But I really think he would make a cool Shazam. I think he could overact the way Shazam does. That, ha-ha, I am here to save the day. And I personally think he would nail it. I really do think he would nail it.
I'm imagining him doing that. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be great. I swear to God, it's going to be great.
I can't see him as Shazam. I'm sorry. I like Shazam. Shazam is one of my favorite DC characters.
He's one of mine too. And I'm telling you right now, it's a great choice.
I don't think so. I don't even know who I would have in mind. No one's coming.
Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill for Shazam. That's what we're doing.
No.
Well, all right, guys. I'm going to wrap up the news right now. Think of who you would want to Shazam. Email us. You need to be stopped. You're dismissed. Think of who you guys would want at Shazam. Email us at neekpodcast@gmail.com or let us know in our Facebook discussion group or our fan page, whichever. We're always checking it. We like to hear from you guys. Ray, tell people where they can find you on the Nerd Overdrive.
All right, guys. So you can check out our content for Phoenix Overdrive media productions via YouTube, especially our most recent episode for our E3 predictions, youtube.com/Phoenix Overdrive. You can find us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Phoenix Overdrive, or iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music by searching for Phoenix Overdrive. You can find our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Phoenix Overdrive Nation. Tweet us at PHX_Overdrive or tweet our podcast at @nerd_overdrive. The big thing that we do, you can find our Extra Life efforts at facebook.com/Phoenix Overdrive or our Extra Life team page, extra-life.org/team/Phoenix Overdrive 16. One thing I do want to let you guys know about, we did actually recently announce our raffles for our Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection PS4. It's $2 a ticket. You can participate at extra-life.org/participant/PS4 bundle 16. If you do happen to do that, $2 per ticket. And don't donate anonymously, please, if you want to be counted for the raffle. We actually had people last year that did donate to us. We want to make sure that you do get your actual chance. So thank you very much, for your guys' support. As our friends here with Neek, you guys are big supporters of us. We always appreciate it. But that's everywhere you can find us. Give us our likes, subscribe, shares, all that fun jazz at all those places I mentioned.
Oh, you're sweet, man. Elijah, other than being able to find you on Neek's own Anime F-Bomb, where else can they find you?
You can find me on the Retro and Modern Network. I don't have the Facebook page off the top of my head because I've actually never once given it out, but just search Facebook for Retro and Modern Network or go to retroandmodern.net, where you can find everything, including our podcasts, videos, everything in one nice little place, even our Twitch.
Nice. Well, as you guys know, you can find me and Josh on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Neek is on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, YouTube, obviously because you're watching us right now, or listening to us on one of those other platforms. And, of course, you can find us on our fan page on Facebook, Neek the Podcast, the Facebook discussion group, which is the Neek the Podcast as well, and anywhere else. Of course, from me and Josh, guys, stay tuned for our next part. Topic of the week, E3 predictions. It's going to be awesome. And Josh, tell them what they can do.
Get out. And keep it nerdy.
Catch you next time.
Rise